Hello and welcome to this video where I am going to showcase my top 10 books for healing chronic pain based on my experience as not only a pain specialist, but also someone who suffered from chronic back pain and a complex pain condition called complex regional pain syndrome. If you've come to this video and you don't know my background, I am a doctor of physical therapy who has specialized in complex pain conditions, some of which include CRPS, AMPS, fibromyalgia, chronic low back pain, chronic neck pain, chronic shoulder pain, chronic knee pain, basically anything with chronic before it. That is my specialty. I have been practicing for nearly 5 years now, and I've treated both adults in Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas, as well as pediatrics at one of the best hospitals in the country here in Houston, Texas. Today, I wanted to bring you my top 10 books for treating chronic pain that I've come across during my journey of getting out of chronic pain myself. I'm thankful to say that for the last 7 years, I have been pain-free after being diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome 10 years ago. And now, because of the things I've learned, when I do have an episode of pain in, say, my back or my knee or my shoulder, I am able to use insight from the things that I've learned to really quickly stop that episode of pain just by exploring my inner thoughts, my inner feelings, and moving my body. So, this video will start with me going through each of the books that have been impactful to me, and I'm going to try to do it in one take. So, if you see any jump cuts, I failed. Anyways, I'm going to kind of go in order of some of the books that I feel like would be best for anyone watching this video to read in order to find their way out of chronic pain. If any of these books are books that you've read already, don't worry, you can reread them or skip them. And if any of these books are upsetting to you in some way, I know that some people find some of the ideas that some of these authors might have to be off-putting, then that's totally okay too. These books aren't the end all be all. These books aren't the only answer. These books just happen to have some lessons that I really liked and resonated with, and some of them had some lessons I loved and some lessons that I really didn't love. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So first up is The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge. This book was super impactful for me as a pain specialist and just as someone suffering with chronic pain. And the reasons were because it really delves into what neuroplasticity is, the concept that the brain can learn and change. And it demonstrates to you as you read through it, through sound science, being that he is an MD, how we use neuroplasticity to overcome many things. He is actually in this book, he actually speaks about the inventor of mirror therapy, which is a great treatment aspect for complex regional pain syndrome and other conditions. That was created by V.S. Ramachandran, and he goes into detail on this, as well as the concept that training the left side of our body can actually benefit the right side of our body, even if we don't train it at all. So, for example, one thing a lot of people might be surprised to learn is that if you have a stroke, and let's say the right side of your body stops working for the time period that you are recovering, if you train the left side of the body and you strengthen it, research actually shows that the opposite side will get stronger as well. Not as strong, obviously. I mean, that'd be amazing. But it will have some benefit, partially because the body and brain like to maintain balance. So it can see some benefit from that type of training. So definitely, if you haven't picked, go ahead and pick up The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge. He is awesome. And I really, really loved this book. So that's why it's first on the list, especially because it leads you into some of the concepts from these other books. Okay, we'll jump to the next one. The next one is Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers by Robert Sapolsky. This book is fantastic. He is a professor, and I want to remember where. Um, Stanford, so a professor of biology and neurology at Stanford University, and he has wrote a series of amazing books. But Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers was actually the first book that started me on understanding the relationship to stress-related diseases, and how we cope, and how it might be related to chronic pain. In particular, what this book did for me is it helped me realize that sometimes the way we live our lives as human beings can be detrimental to our health, and it can lead to ulcers. And so it is widely accepted now, but it wasn't always, that ulcers are very much a stress-related phenomenon. They used to credit Helicobacter pylori to ulcers, but they realized that ulcers occur only when there's an overload of Helicobacter pylori in the gut, not a just the presence of it. So actually, all of us have some amount of Helicobacter pylori in our gut, in our intestines, but not all of us suffer from ulcers. And the stress of our everyday life and the way we live and the challenges we face can actually lead to ulcers. And by extension, other ailments in the body, i.e., chronic pain. Um, it's no coincidence that our muscles get tense, and we describe that as tension. And also that when we're in a fight with our in-laws or having an argument with a girlfriend, etc., we feel tense or the environment is tense. If I forget to do the dishes and I am standing at home and my significant other comes home and I realize I've forgotten to do the dishes and I go stand by the dish machine, the sink, and my significant other comes home, I might tense up my shoulders because the environment is tense. So why zebras don't get ulcers kind of introduced me to that concept of lions in our lives that might make us, the zebra, a little bit tensed up, might hyperactivate our sympathetic nervous system. So that book is fantastic, heavily based in science, lots of research cited. So that's definitely one that's got to be on the list. Okay. The next one, speaking of the relationship between our mind and our body, the next one that I found amazing is called The MindBody Prescription, and this is by John Sarno. John Sarno, honestly, I stand on his shoulders quite a lot in some of the things I know about healing pain in general. He unfortunately has passed away, but I believe he was very much overlooked and misunderstood when it came to healing pain, especially back pain. He was a pioneer for a lot of things with back pain. In this book, he characterizes a condition that he dubbed TMS, tension myositis syndrome. And TMS is actually really interesting. It was kind of his name, his dubbing of this, but I just spoke about tension and the tension in our lives leading to pain. Well, Sarno asserted that the tension in our life and experiences in childhood and repressed anger and emotion often lead to painful conditions. And I actually see this and have seen it a lot in my practice as a doctor of physical therapy. Tension that people have had in their lives leading to back pain. It's no coincidence that most of my patients come in the adult world around the fall and winter time with back pain or aching shoulders, etc. And then once the holidays are over and their in-laws have left, their pain is better. I don't think I do anything amazing for them from a physical therapy standpoint. I think that the stress of those holidays and the things they have to hold inside and things that they can't say leads to pain. And the cool thing about Sarno, and this has been shown in research, is the more you learn about this concept, the less that your body needs to create pain as a distraction. So, for example, I used to get back pain all the time. And I eventually realized that my back pain was a consequence of feeling, uh, my feelings of inadequacy or my feelings of frustration or being taken advantage of in certain situations. So actually, the last time I had back pain, I thought to myself, why might this back pain be here? And I realized that it was because my younger brother, who is amazing, had asked me to help build his furniture when he moved in with me for a few years, and I actually didn't want to build the furniture. I actually wanted to go exercise at the gym and do something else. But being a great big brother like I am, I agreed, even though he told me I didn't have to. And then I harbored resentment, which I feel like manifested later as pain in my back. And so identifying that, showing my brain and my mind that I don't need the distraction of pain, I can be upset with my brother and still love him. And my back pain slowly went away. And I haven't really had an episode of back pain since, outside of after I do a bunch of deadlifts and squats at the gym, and my back is tight and sore from lifting weights. So Highly recommend Sarno. It's actually really funny because I'm a physical therapist, and Sarno said that physical therapists have no use when it comes to back pain and stuff. And so, partially, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of people in my field that are a little bit outdated, and I think Sarno points to some really interesting patterns. So, his book, The Mind Body Prescription, and then also The Divided Mind and Healing Back Pain, those have been pivotal books in my learning experience and journey with this. Okay, next one. This one is a classic. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. A lot of you have probably read this, but this book is just fantastic in talking about the connection between trauma and how it processes and changes things in our brain. And the interesting thing about this book is Bessel actually wrote it for physicians. You know, he's an MD himself, and he just did not expect for it to take off in the way that it did. And now, you know, the average person, if you ask, I feel like if you ask 10 people, 5 out of 10 of them will know of this book or have read it or claim that it's great. So if you haven't read this, my goodness, what are you doing? Get out there and grab this book. Yeah, this book's fantastic. I had a patient once that I remember vividly. They came in and they were describing the inability to move their legs fast or quickly. Their legs felt very tense and heavy, okay, and painful. And I was asking them how this happened. How did you get to this? And they described being in a car accident. And I was like, walk me through it. Walk me through what happened. And they described that the accident happened where two cars crashed together and they slammed and it was really loud and one of them flipped over and I said, "Oh my goodness, like which one were you in?" And they said, "Oh no, I was in the car next to them." And this individual was not hit. This individual was not impacted in any way. But the trauma of the experience led to an inability in that moment to move her legs, and she had pain in her legs. So my treatment for her ended up being, you know, trying to wake her legs up, quote unquote. But really, it was just to show her that her legs were still strong. And then I worked with a colleague who is a psychologist, and we worked together to help her. And within about 10 days, she was moving her legs again and back to her normal life. So this book, making that connection for her and understanding like, hey, it might help if you see a psychologist or counselor in tandem with seeing me. This book was pivotal in doing that. So this book I highly recommend picking up also. The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Any of these books, if they catch your interest as I go through this, go ahead and go down to the description below and click the link that is there, and it'll take you right to Amazon, and you can pick up these books. If you're having a hard time reading because you're in chronic pain and you know it's hard to get through and sit through reading a book, I get it. I'm not in pain right now, and I have a hard time sitting through and getting through reading a book. So use an audiobook app. You can use Libby or Hoopla. Both of these books will give you free audiobooks if you have a library card. If you don't have a library card and you don't want to use one of those apps or want to use something different, you can use Audible through Amazon. And if you don't have Audible yet, you can sign up and you'll get a 30-day discount or a 30-day free trial. And you could crank through a couple of these books on Audible, especially if you get good at listening to them at 1.5 or 2 times speed. So yeah, that's an option. Okay, next one here. When the Body Says No, Exploring the Stress Disease Connection by Gabor Mate. Oh man, Gabor, he has just become someone that I really taken interest in. This book goes through a variety of case studies and conditions, including ulcerative colitis, cancer, MS, ALS, all of these things. And it tells the stories of those patients and their lives. And I tell you what, I got to some of the conditions in this book, and I saw myself on the page. I saw my mother on the page. I saw my father on the page in these different people, these different stories. And ulcerative colitis in particular, I read about an individual in this book who had it, and he described me, my life, all the way down to my perfectionism, my need to be accepted, my insane work ethic, and my overbearing mother. I love you, Mom. But he described me on the page, and that individual had ulcerative colitis, and so did I. And I was taking sulfasalazine, a medication I was told to take the rest of my life. And he described what this individual did to help resolve his symptoms. I did exactly that, and I've never had to take sulfasalazine again, and I have no symptoms of ulcerative colitis. Sounds crazy, I know. Check out this book. It's amazing. Some bonus books that you might want to check out. If you have ADHD, check out the book Scattered by Gabor Mate. And then if you know someone struggling or dealing with addiction, another one that I found very, very helpful by him was also the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Gabor Mate. My brother struggled with addiction and unfortunately passed away. But The Realm of Hungry Ghosts is a book I wish I would have read before then, because I think it would have made a difference, and I wish I could have showed it to him. So yeah, this book and Gabor. You can even just Google your YouTube Gabor, some of his videos. He's an amazing guy. I really do enjoy listening to him. And the books are read by his son on Audible, and his son does a fantastic job of performing the book. So, When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate, pick that one up for sure. Okay, now we're kind of getting out of the realm of disease in and of itself and getting into the realm of turning the page and starting to live life again. Okay. So right here is The Expectation Effect by David Robson. This book has been pivotal for me in understanding the effect of placebo, which is if you suggest something will help as a provider, then likely it will help if the patient believes you. And if you suggest something will harm, then likely it will harm. Nocebo effect. And so the expectation effect talks about that. It goes through how describing a medication and the symptoms to a patient is very important. And if you describe it wrong, they're actually more likely to experience those symptoms. Whereas if you describe it in a certain way, they'll be less likely. So for example, if you say to a patient, who's about to take a medication like gabapentin, if you say, in a small select number of patients, they might feel a little drowsy, but otherwise they have a lot of success. And yeah, check out how this medication works, and I think you'll do really well. Or you say, one thing that can happen with this medication is you could feel pretty drowsy. Yeah, you might feel tired throughout the day. You might get some weird sensations, some dizziness. Just want to let you know, might not happen, but just want to let you know you might. Um, what I see in my practice, and I have seen in my practice, is when the medication is described the first way, that group of people likely won't have symptoms, and the medication is described the second way, that group probably will. And what's fascinating about gabapentin is it takes about a week or two to build up in your system and have any effect whatsoever. And what's really fascinating about that is when the patients are described the first way and the second way, placebo, nocebo, the nocebo patients, fascinatingly enough, will have the symptoms of fatigue and drowsiness within the first 2 days, which from a standpoint of gabapentin being built up in your system is impossible. Okay, so words and the mind are extremely powerful. This book illustrates it. David Robson, fantastic. Pick that one up for sure as well. Okay. This next one is another jump into neuroscience written by a PhD. This is Alex Korb's The Upward Spiral. This book here is a great book. I actually picked this up not when I was in pain anymore, but when I was kind of going through one of my bouts of depression. And the strategies in this book were really helpful in getting out of the downward spiral of depression and beginning an upward spiral out of depression. And I think pain in and of itself can have a tendency to pull you into depression. And sometimes depression can have a tendency to pull you into pain. It's no coincidence that a lot of the pills used to help with pain are also used to help with depression. They're linked hand in hand. And so he uses the concept of one small changes at a time, which is what I preach in my pain program. And he uses that strategy to help you overcome these depressive symptoms and by virtue of that, get out of pain as well. So Alex Korb, The Upward Spiral, great book, really loved it, and I've recommended it to a few people as well. So check that one out. Okay, the next one that I think is fantastic is kind of a reframing book. It's written by who I would consider one of the best modern Stoic authors out there, Ryan Holiday. And this book is called The Obstacle is the Way. It's the timeless art of of turning trials into triumph. So complex regional pain syndrome is often referred to as the trial by fire because of the burn that you feel in that pain. And this book is very amazing at helping you see how trials or challenges could be actually beneficial, something to pull triumph from. So for me, I went through CRPS and my chronic pain, and now I look back on it and I see it as something that was shaping and forming for my life. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't experience it. I wouldn't have read all these books if I didn't experience it. And so the obstacle is the way helps you with that reframing concept by going through a lot of great historical figures who have done exactly that, and probably people you wouldn't even expect. So check out this book by Ryan Holiday. Also, check out his book, Ego is the Enemy and Stillness is the Key, as some bonus reads there for you. But this book is fantastic. That is a big reason. This book is a big influence on why the motto for my pain company is pain is not your prison, it is your power. And so, yeah, turn that trial of pain into your triumph and watch what changes in the world around you. Great book. Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Check that out. Okay, two more. Here we go. The next one is called Super Better by Jane McGonigal. I really enjoyed this book. I was kind of looking for a way to just spice up things in life. And this book is called Super Better, The Power of Living Gamefully. And in the book, Jane goes through and talks about how you can use real life games that you create to help you get through trauma and illnesses and help change your habits. So, for example, what she says is like, let's use CRPS as an example. If we're going through some extreme pain, how can we create a game to get through the things that it takes to recover? So get through moving around, exercising, desensitization, these types of things. Well, what we do is we, just like Mario, for example, we do a task, we go along and then we give ourselves a power up. So in Mario, he'll jump up and he'll hit a coin block and he'll get a mushroom and it'll make him bigger, stronger, he'll power up an extra life, right? So when we're going through rehab for any type of pain condition, we do our rehab exercises and then we go get a power up, which for me might be a vanilla latte with almond milk. And it has to be sugar-free vanilla, mind you, at one of my favorite local coffee shops. That might be my power up. Another power up that I like is maybe going out and having a bonfire in the backyard and making a s'more. I love s'mores, and much like the name, I always want some more. Okay, sorry about that. But anyways, that is kind of the concepts that Jane uses in Super Better, and she is a testimony of her own concepts because of the things that she's been through. And she goes through other people have used this concept of Super Better, this game of life type of thing, and it's fantastic, grounded in scientific research and based on experiences of many people. This book, Super Better, Jane McGonigal. Definitely one to pick up. Okay, the last one, but certainly not least, is an amazing book. It has been very pivotal in me doing a lot of the things that I've done in my life, and I'm just so thankful to the author James Clear. This one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this, but this is actually where my concept of 1% improvement every day over time. Here it is. I flipped through and I found it. 1% improvement over time, leading to drastic changes in our lives. And so, go ahead and pick up this book. It will help you find a way to build small habits, small goals, small targets, and systems to help you lead a more fulfilling life and build good habits and also break bad ones. So he has the concept of habit stacking. So, for example, if you want to read more each day, you stack the reading with something you do very frequently. So let's say every day you brush your teeth at a certain time. Well, the cue for that habit of reading would be right after I brush my teeth, I read 10 pages. And then that's a cue. And then you stack these cues on each other to help you start reading more. He also has the concept of if you want to be a runner, you should imagine yourself already as a runner and then do whatever you think a runner would do. So would a runner skip their morning run or sleep poorly and then miss their run entirely? No, a runner would get to bed at a decent time and then get up and go on their run. And so using these concepts, you can really apply them to any habit that you want. Mine happened to be one of them that I used right away, happened to be stopping going into the pantry and eating trail mix. And this book kind of helped me do that. Am I perfect all the time? No, I still eat too much trail mix probably. But Atomic Habits is a great book. Okay, so there you have it. There's my current list of the 10 best books in my belief for overcoming chronic pain. Here they are. Again, in the link down in the description, you can find these books. If you are watching this video and you are thinking, man, I have chronic pain, I have chronic back pain, it's never gone away. This guy seems like he might know some things. Well, thank you so much for your belief in me, but go ahead and go down to the description and you will find a link to my website, thewindowpain.com. And on that website, if you are interested in pain coaching, which is something I do to help people overcome chronic pain, and I have clients in Australia, Canada, Spain, Finland, America, and many more in counting. Feel free to get scheduled with me under the Get Scheduled link on the front of my website, and you can book a free consult with me to find out if pain coaching is something that might be helpful to you. I use my expertise as a doctor of physical therapy and pain specialist, as well as aspects of cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy to help you reach your goals and lead a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have questions, want more book suggestions, etc., again, you can visit my website, thewindowpain.com, or you can put your questions down in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, if you know if any of these books are good, please comment your experience with these books. If you hate these books, comment and tell me you hate them and why. I can always change my list. So I've really appreciated you guys tuning into this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.